we get started and I hand over to Sarah. As I've said, I'm Lorraine Atchison. I'm Managing Director of Women in Business. I'm really pleased to be hosting this session today, not least because I really would love to learn more about building my own profile and my teams and my organisations, and I'm sure we all feel very similar. And we're really pleased to have Sarah McCracken with us here today. Many of you will know Sarah. She's an award-winning PR and communication specialist, and she's got more than 20 years experience across a whole range of sectors. She's worked for a lot of organisations, but I think my favourite one on her CV is the alpaca farm. It's always nice to have a bit of something interesting in your back pocket. But I guess without further ado, I'll hand over to Sarah. But just to echo, we really want this to be an interactive session. Please do put any questions into the chat so we can get the most from this. Over to you, Sarah.
Brilliant, thank you so much, Lorraine. So yes, please, if you have tea, coffee, drink away. Children and animals are always welcome to my meetings. We've just been discussing that about how COVID and working from home has enabled us to be a wee bit more real. I think we're all sitting in, well, I am sitting in a very messy house with my dog sleeping at my feet, and that is just really good balance for myself. But lovely to meet you. Yes, I know some people on the call. Some people I don't know you yet, but we will get to know each other. And it's just lovely to see you. Thank you so much for your time this morning. If I'm talking too quickly, somebody shout at me. Right, I've got a bit of a presentation to run through, and I'm going to have some questions to ask you. So we'll stop and start it as we go along. So now I'm going to the big green share screen button, and we will do this. Now, so hopefully you can see a presentation. How's that working?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. It's apparently I'm screen sharing. I'm on two screens, so sorry if I keep sort of jumping away. But say thank you so much. I'm Sarah McCracken, and I founded the PR Club in February of this year. And what I'm going to run through today is steps that you can take, I can take, we can all take to raising our profiles and becoming more visible. So Lorraine's already introduced me. So yes, I have a bit of a varied background. I absolutely love doing PR and communications and everything that goes with it. And I've had the absolute privilege of working with a range of different organisations. I've worked for a trade union, I've worked at Stormont for a political party. There's membership organisations, charities, businesses. It's just brilliant. We can talk about the alpaca farm later on if you would like. So the PR Club was founded because I've really noticed a gap, and it's that old adage, what do people are always asking you about? And I was always getting asked about how do I raise my profile? How do I write a press release? I have an event to run, what do I do? So things like that are part of my skill set built up over apparently 20 years. Quite a long time. So what I am doing through the PR Club is offering online and in-person training and easy to use downloadable tools to help you maximize your PR opportunities. So, instead of you having to go to an agency or worrying about what to say next, it's tools that you can use for that. So I've delivered some communications training through Westminster Insight on how to write a press release, crisis communications, public affairs campaigning, and I've like an online instant access course as well available at the minute. So any questions on that, happy to chat. But I want to just start and talk about what is PR. This is the definition for the Chartered Institute of Public Relations, and it's about your reputation, and it's the result of what you do, what you say, and what others say about you. It's that classic, what are people saying about you when you're not in the room. It is so much more than sending out a press release. And when it comes to your business, I would strongly encourage you to have a PR plan aligned to your business strategy, to bring your story to life and to really showcase how great your products and services are. And good PR will help you engage with your customers, your ideal customers, your stakeholders through a whole variety of channels outlined here. So yes, there's media engagement and media relations, getting in the papers and on TV. There's also crisis communications, public affairs, running events, all these different things. come under the PR umbrella, if you like. And it's way beyond selling. It's about positioning you or your chief executive as the expert in what it is you do, and demonstrating the outstanding work that your business provides and the impact that it can make. And this will improve your profile, and it'll build trust and credibility, and it will ultimately lead to sales if that's what you're after. But think about the trust and credibility that you are then building with your audience. And again, crisis communications, when it goes pear-shaped, your comms lead is going to be your best friend. And even in the run-up to that, as communications professionals, we're always looking outwards and externally to see what's going on in the world and what might potentially impact. But really, PR, if we take a PR approach, we can really start to enhance our profiles. And, it's all linked to our reputation. So I've got a question for you. I'm going to find the stop screening sharing button, and I'd like you to just drop in the chat, why do you want to raise your profile? Why are you here today?
Well, it'd be good to see you.
And then I can hope that I have tailored the rest of the talk accordingly, or I'm going to have to do a wee quick change.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
Let's see some honesty come through here, ladies. This is your opportunity. Tell us.
Direct message me in the background if you don't want to go public with it. That's okay as well. Oh, brand awareness, Avril, that's a great one. Reputation, Rachel. Hello, Rachel. Haven't seen you for ages. Davina, the better understanding of how you create posts to attract work. Yep. Diversify, client base. Brand awareness. Yep. Helen's just started her business, needs to tell people all about it, attracting clients. Babs, I'm sure your company is not invisible. We can talk about that. Promote yourself and your team. Young people and online reputation. Yeah, really important. Building reputation. Candidates. Yeah, Brona, I don't know how you're finding HR at the minute, but certainly we struggle to attract talent into the RSPB. Staying relevant, yes. I'm always trying to stay relevant, Mary. So there's a bit there about what's here now? Employed, self-employed. Yep. So raising profile, building personal brand seems to be coming through, and sort of helping attract people to your business. That sounds a bit like positioning there. So lots of stuff. And again, folks, we've been sharing LinkedIn handles. So if you can connect with each other and start to support each other through this as well, that will really help to raise profile as well. Yeah, Sinead, that's a really good one as well. Being visible on LinkedIn to promote your brand, help talent. So you're not being left behind, you're just about to start. So that is absolutely fine. Get messages out there, building personal. Right, okay. Got to live from a big screen. Green share screen button again here. Hang on. Right. Can you see that?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay. So thank you for sharing that. So some of the things that I have thought about, some of the things we've talked about. So it's creating those opportunities, career progression, showcasing your expertise, promoting your business, all comes back to your reputation. So we need a wee bit of an Oprah quote here. I think in the end, all you have is your reputation. And if you go the Warren Buffett route, it's like it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. So let's keep that to the forefront as well and be really positive. So in terms of your reputation, which is very strongly linked to your visibility, it's that perception of how others view you. And it's about showing up as yourself. I don't really like the word authentic, because I think if you're having to be authentic, you're like putting on a bit of a show, but it's about being yourself, being honest and reliable and mindful and respectful and kind, and all those things that I know everybody on this call absolutely is. And it's about being consistent with that as well. And it's also about being consistent with, for example, your social media posting. What can you be posting consistently that your target audience needs to hear about, that you can then help them with a challenge that they maybe have. And helping others to look good is really important as well. So again, it's not about being in it just for yourself. I mean, I do love the Women in Business Network, and we talked, Lorraine and I talked about leaning in earlier as well. It's how can we all work together to support each other and help others look good? So can you connect other people up? Can you make recommendations? I am giving this talk today because I was connected up via Nuala Murphy. He kindly made the introduction, and here we are. So it's about supporting each other as well. Your reputation does determine your future opportunities. So let's keep that in mind as well. Anyway, I'm now going to give you my 5 steps to become invisible, and I have another 5 things that we can do in a wee minute as well. So first of all, this picture. This is me speaking at a Women in PR event. I co-founded Women in PR with Michelle Canning, who you can see in the picture there as well. I never for 1 minute thought I would be standing up in the long gallery addressing a cohort of women who had come together to raise their own visibility and profile and improve their future opportunities. But that was a work in progress to get to that point. So I think the point is, if I can do it, anybody can do it, I think is my point. But the first step to become invisible is identifying your purpose. So what do you want to become known for? What do you want to achieve? What impact do you want to make? What's your story? Do you want to become a leader in your field or more active in your community? Do you want recognition for your work? And what do you want your reputation to be? And that's all about your why. And if you have a clear view of that, then everything else will align with that. Again, that's very personal to you as well. So I would encourage you to reflect on that. Now, develop a plan. Now, I know Rachel McMenemy is on this call, and I had the good fortune to work with Rachel in my previous role, but she'll know I love a plan. So this will help you know what you're aiming for and how to stay consistent. And, I'm talking about a plan on a page. I'm not talking about 50 pages and a table of contents or anything like that. It's really just, what do you want to achieve and the tactics that you're going to take to get that. And I have developed a plan on the page for you, which I'll come on to shortly. But the also really important thing that I have found is who can help. Who can you bounce ideas off? Who can give you a push and some confidence? Who's cheering you on? Who's in that circle, that trusted circle of friends and colleagues that you have who can help. It could be a career coach, it could be a mentor, it could be your colleagues, it could be people completely different from your work. But again, I would really encourage you to build a network that way, and people who have your back at the end of the day and will support you. Another really sort of quick step you can do is to identify opportunities. What is currently out there that you could join? I mean, women in business, we're all here today. I mean, this is just a brilliant start to your visibility. What about Lean In? Are there internal groups within your workplace you could join? There's networking opportunities. And again, don't forget your social media as well. I said to Lorraine earlier, I've really come around to LinkedIn as a platform for raising your personal visibility as well as that of your business. So connect with each other and think about that as an opportunity as well. Maybe you're on TikTok or Instagram as well. So the same thing applies. Have you an opportunity there to raise your profile? And as long as your target audience is on those platforms, that's where you should be. And again, how do you create your own opportunities? So I said you'd need to take a wee deep breath for this, but I've covered the easy bit. Have you ever thought about being on a podcast, somebody else's podcast? Can you send out a press release to make an announcement about something brilliant that you have done? Have you pitched to speak at a conference? I pitched to speak at a conference next Monday. It was all about buying a sheep at Ballymena Market, and it's about raising your visibility and how great comms people are. So that's what I'm doing next Monday at 5 to 5, if anybody's interested. And again, it can be really daunting to be doing these things, but if you have spent some time identifying your purpose, you've got a bit of a plan, and maybe you've got an elevator pitch ready for the networking event you're going to go to, then those opportunities will start to come your way. And again, what can you do right now to move you forward one step towards raising your profile? Write it down. You might want to put it in your diary and set a target date, or it might be as simple as connecting with somebody on this call today, because you know that you've got some collaboration potential there, or maybe they're working in an area that you'd like to move into. So take that first step right now, and it'll be as small as you can make it. So some things we can do right now. Everybody on this call could write out their elevator pitch so that you can have confidence in saying it when somebody asks what you do at a networking event. And again, we had 4 years there of not going to in-person events, or there were some online events, but it can be really daunting when you're going around the table and somebody asks what you do, and quite frankly, you've forgotten because it's been years since you were out. But can you sum up what you do in a sentence? Say it in less than 30 seconds. And for example, Mine is, it's never too early to do PR for your business. Hello, I'm Sarah, founder of the PR Club, here to give ambitious entrepreneurs and business owners the skills and tools they need to transform their business using PR power. And I offer inline and in-person training. Now, that didn't come out overnight. That has gone through several iterations. I guarantee you it will continue to change, but just having that in your back pocket will just give you that confidence when you're asked to speak. Right now, you could update your social media, your bios and the content. Like I said, LinkedIn is a really useful tool for online networking. So optimize your profile and publish relevant content. Laura Lee Quigley's on the call. So she is a recruiter and she does fantastic videos about vacancies that are coming up and successes that she's achieved. So that's a different way of doing it rather than just the static written content. So what thoughts and opinions in relation to your expertise can you put out into the world? If you like other platforms like Instagram, for example, do the same thing. You optimize your bio and profile and create the content that your target audience wants. Why not try TikTok if you're trying to create sales that way? You don't need to dance. Check out my TikToks if you like. There's no dancing whatsoever. But what content are you creating that links with your values and goals? Now, you can also get some feedback. Who's in your trusted circle that can tell you what you're good at, what you could focus on? Can they write you a testimonial for LinkedIn or for your social media? Has everybody got like an email of nice things that people have said, or a folder of emails of nice things that people have said about them? It's really good to gather that feedback and you keep it and store it away. And then if you're taking a step out into something else, maybe needing a bit of a boost, you can go back and reflect on that. And your trusted circle have told you what you're really good at and give you the confidence to do that. And also, if say you're running an event or you've done something a wee bit different, can you evaluate it after you've done it? What's worked well, what can be built on for the future? You could find some opportunities for networking or speaking at right now. Hop onto Google or Eventbrite. There's networking out there, conferences. Netwalking is my new favourite thing. So there's netwalking run through Small Business Britain. Louise Brogan, she hosts that. I think that's going to be the second Friday of every month. Meeting at the Big Blue Fish in Belfast. You'll find her on LinkedIn, and everybody is welcome to that. Also, Johnny Bloomfield runs netwalking at Stormont the last Friday of every month. And again, just sign up for it and rock up to that. But there's also business breakfast. There's local councils have events, more women business events, local chamber of commerce. There's so much out there. But I'd love you to reflect as well. If you're not signing up for these things, what is stopping you from attending? And can you write it down and identify a solution? And if you're really just concerned about rocking up on your own, everybody else is going on their own as well. And that's where you meet people, and you'll start to see the same people then at other events in the future. So have confidence in yourself. You have every right to be there, and you meet really nice people. So number 5, this is quite a big step. But you're building up to it if you've gone through the other steps before. So say you have a story to tell about yourself or your business. Perhaps you have some top tips to give or a great piece of news to share, then you need to pitch it. You might have an idea for the organisation you work within if you're part of a larger organisation. And again, you're going to need to pitch your ideas to your senior leadership as well. So if you're going to do that, you're going to need to identify the journalists, the podcasters, the influencers, your boss, whoever who has access to your target audience. And we are going to pitch. Keep it really, really simple. What is the problem that you can solve and the transformation that you can bring? And it's slightly different. You're pitching to the media. It's slightly different to a press release. A media pitch is more about like an email or a phone call to a journalist to interest them in what your business has to offer, persuade them to write about it. It could be more of an opinion piece or a feature. A press release is a more formal announcement to send out to the media, like you've got a new product, or you've had this brilliant event, or you've made this big investment, or something like that. So those are my tips. I have created for Women in Business Today a visibility action plan, and it's really just a plan on the page that covers a lot of what we've discussed today. So I will try and find the link and drop it in the chat, or you can scan that QR code. So if you're able to download this, and I really hope the tech works, if it doesn't work, let me know. I'll send you an email every couple of days about steps you could take to raise your visibility. And it's really what we've just been talking about. And, we can work together then to raise our profiles, because it's something that we all need to be doing. Yeah, plan on the page, the way forward. one more thing. Yes, I'm going to come out of this in a wee second, and I'm going to maybe ask you as well, what profile raising opportunities are out there that you have identified? And I'd love to know as well how we can support each other to make the most of them. So have a wee think about that. And again, that's that QR code there again, and you'll find me everywhere. And I would really love to connect up with you, particularly on LinkedIn. And look, any questions? I know Lorraine's going to share a bit of a Q&A now. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And if I don't get them today, I'll happily come back to you at a later stage. So thank you for listening. I will try and stop sharing.
Thanks, Sarah. There's a lot there. I'm sure we are thinking about different questions. I think I'm thinking about what my elevator pitch is. I need to write that. But what we'd love to do is get some questions from the group. And yes, we've got Sarah's contact details there, Jean, and we'll share them afterwards. There's a question there from Kathy. Is LinkedIn a corporate platform? That's a really good question, Sarah.
Both. Look, it all comes back to who are you trying to be visible in front of. So it's a real business to business networking opportunity. In terms of, if you're talking about business pages versus personal profiles, I believe personal profiles do better in terms of engagement, but as a business or organization, you can create a newsletter that you can then send out regularly to your contacts on LinkedIn. So it's coming around. I think it's fine. I think it's, yes, it's good for businesses, but not necessarily directly to consumer, if that makes sense. Does that even answer your question, Kathy? Please stick your hand up and ask me the question if that hasn't answered.
Kathy, you can come off mute, Kathy, if you want to. You come off mute. That's all right.
There we go. I couldn't find it. No, why I'm asking that, I probably have a service business, which would be probably a more customer, interface that I would be trying to speak to. So that's why LinkedIn to me was always something for professionals, corporate sort of background. So that's why
I think, Kathy, it's a case of who's your ideal customer and where do they hang out. So if they're not on LinkedIn, then that's not where you should be selling. If they're more on Instagram, or if you know what magazines and newspapers they're reading, from a PR perspective, I'd be targeting them that way. If you yourself want to position yourself as an expert, maybe for investors or corporate relationships, or maybe you could sell into a corporate, that's where you would need to be for LinkedIn, if that's helpful.
Yeah, so that's a good message there, Sarah, isn't it? It's thinking about where is your customer. So how do you want to be approaching and raising your profile with your customer? But equally, if you're looking for investors or you're looking to raise your profile to non-customers, then think about that. That's good advice. So I can see another question there. I'm just going to move myself up the chat. So how do you work out the best media contact to send a press release to?
Excellent question.
And actually, just linked to that, the one below, about if you're a small business, you're not using a PR agent, how do you actually get your story out there? How do you find the key contacts? Do you just email a pitch? So yeah, two similar questions there.
Yeah, it's back to, it depends what it is. So think of where your target market is. If you run a pet care company, you're going to be wanting to target publications, podcasts, magazines that your target audience is reading, which is likely to be, what dog or which cat, or things like that. If it's more of a business news piece, maybe you have made an investment and you've secured X number of jobs, that is going to be a great business news article. So again, be really clear what it is you're trying to say, and then identify the relevant publication online broadcast channel that would potentially take the news. And your press release is about news, so slightly different to the pitches that we're talking about earlier. So in terms of best media contact, think of where your target audience is, what they're reading and listening to, and find out the journalists who are writing about those particular stories. So Beltel, find out Margaret McCann think that's her name, is the business contact at Bell Tells. You'd want to connect up with her for a business story. For other magazines, literally get a copy of the magazine and find out who the editor is and which journalists are covering which stories. If you don't want to buy them all, look on the Library Libby app is really, really good for accessing magazines free of charge. And then in terms of tracking them down, yeah, there'll be contact details on Twitter. A lot of journalists on Twitter. LinkedIn, you'll find some on LinkedIn as well. And again, look, just in the inside cover of magazines, you'll find contact details as well. So again, if it's news, pitch your press release. If it's a pitch about something interesting, what do I do that for? Yes, I have pitched ideas in advance, because obviously if you send out a press release, you're just crossing your finger and you're hoping really at the end of the day that it's going to land. You're not guaranteed the coverage, but if you've got a really good story, you could offer as an exclusive to a particular journalist. So you give them a call, drop them an email, get a conversation with them.
And how do you get that? So I'm suspecting most of us haven't got the contact numbers. So is Twitter, do you think if you do an instant message to someone on Twitter or LinkedIn, you get a response?
You could DM them and get a response that way. Ask for what's the best way to get in touch with you. And follow up from there. But think about the news cycle. It's 24/7 at the minute. They are looking contact. And again, I can find some details. I mean, Belfast Live is a really good source. National World has taken over the newsletter, so that's a good opportunity for people as well. But where's your target audience? Find what they're listening to and reading and get the contact details that way.
Thank you. So the next question is with regard to Google, and any advice for getting on the first page of Google search? How do you get yourself up the list on Google? Is that something that you can share on?
That to me is about posting consistent content and using keywords that your target audience is searching for. Rachel McMenemy, is there anything you could add to that? Rachel obviously runs a web design business, and she might be more au fait than that with me. Just put you on the spot, Rachel.
Yeah, do you want to come in and give us your thoughts?
Sorry, I'm in the middle of a coffee shop, so you might not be able to hear me. Hi. Yes, with SEO, it's double. You have to make sure that your website is set up for SEO. So in the back part of your website as well, make sure your meta tags and everything are set up properly. And you can do an SEO check using Google Lighthouse. And if you don't know how to do that, contact me. My details are in the chat. And also what Sarah said about posting consistent content. So make sure you're using your keywords. You're posting consistently on your website, and it's not just your website, it's everything else as well if you're trying to build a reputation. But if you're talking about your website and being on the first page of Google, just make sure you do proper keyword research and use blog posts, use your web content. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you, that's really helpful.
Do more,
Rachel.
Yeah,
that's super. And you spoke on the spot, which was amazing. We've also got your contact details in the chat that we'll share afterwards, but a real advice there around SEOs. Thank you. The next question then coming from Tina, I'd love to know what you would consider as a newsworthy worthy article in traditional local media. I'm a marketer, but the local media seems like a bit darker, heavily dependent on relationships, which is, it's a good point, Tina. So yes, is there any thoughts on what is newsworthy, and is it about who you know and really dependent on relationships? Is that the truth of it, or is there a way to get around that?
Everything's dependent on relationships. If you have a good relationship with a journalist, and if you have a credible and reputable organisation, they are going to be more inclined to listen to you in the future. The RSPB, we send out a lot of press releases. We've got the State of Nature report launching this week, I think, or next week, really about the State of Nature. State of Nature is dire in the country, by the way, and Valerie and I have been talking about birds all morning. But it's newsworthy is think about what you read in the papers, and that is news. And yes, a lot of it is really dire and quite doomy and gloomy, but think about investments you can make, think about awards you have won, think about all the good stuff that you could celebrate as well. But build relationships with journalists. Absolutely, find the ones who are covering the type of stories that you'd like you to see covered, and build a relationship with them. Can you meet them for a cup of coffee? I used to find baking cakes with the Cool FM newsroom was really good. But yeah, find out who will cover the type of stuff that you want to get covered, and take that relationship with them. And it's not just press releases either. You can pitch opinion pieces, feature articles, you know, all sorts of different things, and you think about podcasts as well. I'm trying to think. Cool FM, I'm a huge fan of Downtown Radio Cool FM. They have news bulletins on the hour every hour, which need to be filled, and they switch it up every hour or every couple of hours as well. So don't just think about newspapers either. Broadcast commercial radio has the biggest audience in terms of listenership. They outperform the BBC. So don't even just think about newspapers either. But yeah, Tiernan, I do agree, it can be quite gloomy at times, but yeah, build your relationships with journalists, and as they start to sort of trust you, then they'll know that you're presenting good stuff to them as well.
So Sarah, can we dig into that a bit more about what you said about the radio? So I'm a small business owner, I've got a great product, I've seen a gap in the market, maybe it's a product that's affecting women's lives, I'm coming to help address it. I listen to Cool FM, but I mean, how the heck do you get on Cool FM? I mean, how, you know, short of, do they have people who represent them? Can we just email into them? Is it, you know, do we stand outside the door of the offices and with a, as you say, a tray of cake? Yeah, actually, it's that, you know, that really, you know, how do you do it? You can see what you want to do, but it feels like there's a chasm.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the contact details now.
Well, if you can always share it after, Sarah. So if there's some...
email the newsroom with your press release, your pitch, and they would have got it.
Email the newsroom, yeah.
Yeah. I'll try and find just contact details. But yeah, journalists are trying to do a job, which is to fill the airwaves and newspapers with content. So build a relationship with them and get in touch. They can only say no. If they say no, you can ask why. You know, if it's not newsworthy enough for that particular day, and it depends what else is in the news as well. You can try to something else.
Well, I think that's really lovely and practical. Email the newsroom, but also remember they're doing a job. So can we make their job easier by giving them something really newsworthy? So helping them make their job easier.
Absolutely. I can talk about this for hours, by the way, but yes, it's about making the journalist's life easier. So here's the story, here's everything you need to know. And like, don't be writing 20 pages, like 1 page maximum for a press release. And if you want more information, then you'll get it. And for radio as well, you need to record an audio clip and send that to them because it's radio. They need to hear you.
Okay. And again, you can do that. You can do that on your phone easily, and you can send that as an attachment. I'm just going to jump to a question which I think is really interesting about how you strategies for managing both positive and negative client feedback. So that's perhaps a different side of PR, isn't it? It's particularly around the negative. If somebody says something about our product or our service online, you know, how do we manage that? And should we always respond?
It's going to depend. If it's positive, you're obviously going to want to thank the people. And again, ask for testimonials. You know, bank that all for future reference. Negative, it's going to depend. You know, if it's genuine, you're going to want to take it up as part of your customer service behind the scenes and have a conversation with that purpose. If it's malicious, if it's, you know, libelous or defamation, then you're going to want to take a legal route potentially for that. And if it's a concerted effort against you, if it's negative and it's just somebody being a pain in the bum, you might want to just ignore it. But again, it's going to depend on the context. So we have somebody with one of our SPB groups who was causing a wee bit of mischief the other week as well. So we put a coping strategy, management strategy in around that. But they're just being a pain. You know, they're offered the right to complain, they're offered X, Y, and Z, but they didn't take it up. So I think it really just depends. So that's a quite political answer. I'm sorry. Positive, bank it. Negative, if it's malicious, take action against it. But don't create a row on social media or in the public domain if you don't need to. I think some of it you can just quietly ignore. And if you have one person giving you a 1-star rating and everybody else got a 5-star, and say it's a 1-star, I've seen examples often that are really badly written. Like, I'm certainly going to ignore that if I'm looking at the feedback on your products and services.
Okay, thank you. Continue adding your questions to the chat. That would be great to see. So is there anything, Sarah, that people could do after today? So at 11 o'clock today, if there was one thing that you were to tell them today to help boost their profile and build it, what would that one thing be?
Trying to remember what I said in the slide set. Sign up to my visibility sprint, and I will send you out a prompt every 2 days of things that you can do to do that. But I think the one thing you could do right now is go and update your social media bios. Because let's face it, if you're searching for a business or service, that's what you're gonna, as a consumer, that's what I'm gonna look at first. So it might be LinkedIn for Laura Lee, I'll use you as an example, or it might be Instagram for Helen Todd, because I know she's really active on that. So make sure your bios are optimized. Just laughing. Helen, I'll tell you, I hadn't this written last Friday. She was keeping me going. She's promised to come and ask all her questions. You've not asked any yet. Anyway, so update your social media bios and start thinking about what content you can be sharing to showcase yourself, your business, your profile in a really constructive, positive light, to just showcase how fantastic you all are.
And how much is the right amount, and also how much is too much? Do we need to be posting every day? Do we need to be posting once a week? Is there a best practice? Can you bore people with too much, or is there never too much?
I think you can bore people with too much. You might have an email list, and if you start emailing them out every single day, you're going to get unsubscribes, because who's time for that? But it's about being consistent. If you can only post once a week, post once a week. I mean, ideally you want to be maybe doing 2 to 3 times a week, but it's about consistency and not burning yourself out and putting stuff up for the sake of it.
Yeah, and there's a balance there, isn't there, like you say?
Very much so.
Yeah. So we talked a bit earlier on about actually attending things. So I guess the last few minutes we've been talking about online, but there's so much to be said about actually going to things face to face. And you've made some good suggestions around places that we could link into, not least women in business events. We've got a lot of face-to-face events coming up that I would plug. But have you got any advice just about how we present ourselves, about building confidence, making us feel that we belong in that room and that we can say our elevator pitch without feeling really kind of uncomfortable or cheesy?
Do you mean in terms of having confidence of turning up?
I think both turning up, but also profiling yourself. You can turn up, obviously, but when we can decide to sit in the corner and not necessarily shout about that. Yeah, all done that. Just hang around the food and hope that once someone comes and talks.
Around the food is one of the best places to hang around at. I learned this a very long time ago. So you know what it's like. You go in, you need one of the cocktail sausages. Let's face it, that's why you're there. But if you position yourself strategically near the tea and coffee, everyone's going to have to come past you at some point to get their own cocktail sausage or ham sandwich or whatever vegetarian options are available. But genuinely, that's not a bad place to be. And then you can just kind of, hello, how are you? And when I was doing the work through Women in PR, that was one of the barriers of people feeling really unsure that they could turn up to an event on their own. And it does take a lot of confidence to do that, which is ridiculous, because we're all here to make friends and to support each other. So I'm going to say just do it. Just turn up. You will find somebody that you know through there, or you will see somebody else stood in the corner not sure what to do. Go and say hello to them and build that connection, and then go and get a cup of tea together.
Good, thank you. We had a good question come in from Roisin. So jumping back to the issue of getting stories into the media. For small business, it's often not an option to have a PR agent, but yet PR agents seem to be the ones with the relationships with media. And as a small business owner, your emails often get ignored. Is there a halfway house offered by any PR people? Is there a lower cost option? Maybe getting access to contact emails or a few introductions, but not for a monthly fee? Yeah, so how do you get that kind of in that the PR agencies have? Is there an easy low cost way?
They have the relationship with media because that's their business, and they have built those relationships over the years, as have I. Access to contact emails, a few introductions. Just contact them yourself and build that relationship. I mean, I do have it's an instant access how to write a press release training that anybody here could access. It's £49. That's a low cost option. In terms of getting access to contact emails, Roisin, who in particular you'd like access to, and I am happy to go away and try and create a list of contact details for you, and I'll happily share that through the network. Because PR, it's really, really easy to do. It's not this big mystical thing of magic, much as I would love it to be sometimes, because it make my life a whole lot easier. But you know, it's about having the right story for the particular outlet that you're contacting. So is it big enough for that particular outlet? Is it relevant to the people who are reading it? I mean, the Irish News is one of the best examples of knowing their target audience. Like over the years, their readership hasn't declined as much as other newspapers, because GAA and politics, that's what they write about. So it's about being really clear about what it is you want to say and who you want to say it to, and targeting that directly.
I suppose, Sarah, it would be really valuable, I think, for businesses to have, do you know, a list of sort of the top 10 useful media contacts and emails that you can fire stuff off to, you know, a press release or a pitch on ordinary local stuff, good news stories, you know, somebody overcoming a woman with resilience who started her own business, somebody in health and well-being is a very popular sector. Just you know, what are the key sort of contacts who are maybe interested in the general local stories, rather than the specialist stuff, like if you're looking at dogs or whatever. I think would be really useful to have.
But it is going to depend on what your story is. So I can give you a list of contact details that might be completely irrelevant to that wellbeing story that you have in your mind. So if you go on wellbeing, Lisa Smith at Local Women is the editor there. You've got Mary Louise Connolly at the BBC. Shona Core does environmental stories at Belfast Live. So again, you can get a generic email address for a publication, but it's you know, if you can get the actual journalist who's covering the stories that you potentially have, that's the route you need to be going down. I mean, I'll certainly happily get a list of people together that will get you a starting point. But again,
I think that would be amazing just to know, because there's a massive piece of work for people to do, even to know where to go or what to target or who to target. So I think that would be absolutely amazing for small businesses. Yeah.
Let me think about that. I do have a training course on that I have run, but we'll talk about that another time. But again, be really specific about what your story is and if it's newsworthy or not, and who might be interested in it. But yeah, let me have a wee think about that, and I can get that sent around through the network for you.
Thanks a million.
Thank you, Sarah. And I guess there's something there about the generic versus the targeting, isn't there? We've got a comment and question here from Tove. I shoot reels with a piece of value related to the piece I'm promoting. For example, as busy women, we fly the door open. From the car door open, we threw out the umbrella, we were off in the rain, and we're rushing and tense as ever. That sounds like me. Would we like more calm in our lives? Can we exhale twice as long as we inhale? And come to her Laugh and Let Go Wellbeing Retreat at Hidden Huntley. Great to hear about that. But she's finding it hard to close sales on the retreat. So how can building her profile and also, I guess, the profile of that event help? Where does PR come in when it comes to making those sales?
PR is about your profile and your reputation, so it's not that direct sale. So if it's about sales specifically, I'd be looking at your sales page content, and getting a sales expert about closing the sale. So are you getting the inquiries? That's a really good start point. So it's understanding your metrics of why you're not converting into a sale, I think would be really, really important. If you're on Instagram, Charlie Day Sales, let me put that in the thing. Oh, send chat to everyone. It's a really good source.
Does it highlight, Sarah, the challenge between the overlap, but equally the difference between sales and PR, and where one starts and one ends, and how, you know?
Yep. PR is about your reputation and how you position yourself. So it's not over selling. It's about Sarah at Helen Todd in the Business Telegraph next week, because she set up this fabulous new HR business. When I then go as a consumer to Google HR businesses, and I've maybe heard a bit about Helen, and I need a bit of help, if I see her article in the newspaper, that's going to build her credibility. So like little credibility markers, and then that will then inform me about whether I should go with her or not, or make that phone call to her just to find out a bit more information. So it's not selling, it's about reputation and managing your profile.
Yeah, that's great, thank you. Roisin's just put into the chat there, just promoting our masterclass that's coming up on communications and media if you're a small business owner. Any other questions? Anything that you've provoked? Any comments? Helen, Todd, I might just come to you because you've recently set up your own business. You've obviously been talking to Sarah about PR. I'm interested to hear from you. Any kind of top tips or things that you're adapting in this new life as a small business owner?
Yeah, I suppose I was very prolific on LinkedIn, promoting the companies that I worked for previously, very much about talent acquisition, community work, the employee engagement we were doing. And I've now had to turn that very much on its head and promote myself, talk about myself, link that into now my new company, Impact People Consulting. And it's trying to get then that, I suppose, that balance as well. So, and I'm finding it's interesting now talking about myself, because a lot of the time it was having that, I suppose, that line of, I'm talking about the company I work for, I'm talking about, their values. And now I'm talking about myself, making it very personal, talking about my own personal values. And very much I've set up my business along my own values. Sarah said she hates the word authentic, but I very much have set up the business very much talk about people-centric practices, and because that's what I do. A lot of what I've experienced is being a carer in a business, neurodiversity, very much bringing a lot of those ideals to small, medium-sized businesses, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So it's talking about me and then connecting that in. So, and it's getting that balance between, how often do I post? Is what I'm posting relevant? And doing it on Instagram, and then linking that back into my LinkedIn profile as well. So yeah, and then I'm out at those networking events. I'm getting out and meeting people. I'm making all those relevant connections. I had quite a big network already on LinkedIn, but it's now making those relevant connections, because a lot of the connections I have are friends. They are people I've worked with. And now it's about making those strategic connections, and people who, sounds awful, and it's like, people who can help me, people who can help me with my strategic goals for the business now, not just people who'll make nice comments on my posts. That's great, but it's people who will promote my business. It's people who can connect me with the right people to get me clients from my business, because at the end of the day, it is about sales. It's about me being financially secure and being able to pay my bills.
Yeah, no, and I think that goes back to identifying your purpose, which is the first thing Sarah said, wasn't it, when she was talking about the 5 steps to becoming visible. Actually, what is your purpose? And you've really articulated that there, Helen. Just picking up another couple of the comments on the chat. So we've got somebody, Claire there, who said if anyone's interested in working with influencers, to let her know. I mean, where do influencers fit in, Sarah, when it comes to PR and raising our profile? And can we use influencers in that way, in the way that perhaps in the past we would have used traditional media? Should we be looking actually to influencers to raise our profile rather than the Irish News or Cool FM?
Yeah, influencers are a really good option. I'll have a wee look at your link there, Claire. Fetch Ireland is also a good source for influencers. So it is effectively an advert, which is why you see hashtag ad or hashtag PR product within, say, an Instagram post, and that's regulated by the Advertising Standards Authority. But yeah, that is a really good way of getting, say a product in front of people. You've all seen Mrs. Hinch and Stacey Solomon, but even at a micro influencer level, somebody with a much smaller following but really engaged following can be a really, really good opportunity. So again, you would have to deal with the influencer directly, or I don't know, some of them might have an agency to go through.
Yeah.
And there may be an exchange of money for that, or it might just be product. But again, if you hand over your product, you have no guarantee of what they're going to say about it. So again, it's about building a relationship with the influencer as well. This is all about relationships, and identifying those who are really aligned with your ideal customers and target audiences.
Yeah, we had an event earlier on the year run by Francesca Morelli from Viva Influence. and they're an agency for Northern Ireland based and island-based influencers. So we've got that as a recording, so that's available for anybody who wants to kind of do a deep dive into that. There's a question here from Kathy Barr. Is it appropriate to repost social media posts to your Google business profile?
You can do, but I would always advise you tailor the post to the platform. So something on Instagram won't necessarily work as well on Google Business or LinkedIn, for example. So yes, it's maybe the same topic, but you're going to need to sort of rewrite it potentially or use different imagery, just depending on the platform. Oh, and I started talking about images. Just if you are going to go down the route of sending out a press release or anything like that, think about the photos that you need to accompany that too. So if it's a lovely announcement of a conference, you're going to want the speakers, you're going to need to caption them and stuff as well. So yeah, think about your imagery. And if you've got a product-based business, you're probably going to want professional images taken as well of your products as well, so that a magazine can just lift them and put them into their features.
So it's very much again about making the job easy, having that level of detail there. Jean, just ask for you to repeat, please, the places that you could go to seek speaking opportunities. So we obviously mentioned Women in Business and our events. Sarah, you talked about some of the Chamber, other network organisations.
I'm just looking at more questions here.
Yeah. So just speaking opportunities, Sarah, where to go to get speaking opportunities?
Yeah, there's that one. So I said that this came about through a personal connection. I have made a pitch to a conference. Podcast, there is, let me find you the link. If you want to speak on podcast, so it's Matchmaker FM has a host of podcast details that you can access if you want to go on a podcast.
Matchmaker.fm, excellent.
It's excellent. If you have signed up for a little visibility sprint, like later on, I do have a template of like a podcast CV that you or a resume that you can send to them.
Oh, and that's a good suggestion there from Laura Lee. TEDx also has an application and pitching offering. We're seeing TEDx come up more and more, aren't we?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, look at the conferences that you like to attend, contact the conference organizer and ask them what's their criteria for you to go and speak. There's so many fantastic businesses on here. Give Lorraine a shout if you've got something to say. I'm quite sure you might come to an arrangement that way. But I think it's just having the confidence to ask, or if you don't quite there, can I connect you up with anybody? This is why the whole LinkedIn connections and getting the Instagram connections and all are so important. If I can connect anybody up with anybody, I would be happy to do so. And again, that's where your support network comes in as well. But just ask. And as your profile increases, you're gonna have access to a wider circle of influence and opportunities to speak as well. But certainly, local chambers of commerce are really good. I know Lisburn they have some women's network there as well, I believe. I went to one of their events. But yeah, get on to Google and Eventbrite and see what's out there.
And I think it sounds like that's why the elevator pitch you talked about earlier is so important, because we can ask, but we need to be succinct about what we're offering as well, I think, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, certainly I went to an IOD networking lunch and it was not long out of lockdown. You go around the table and ask what you do. I had no idea what I did. It's been like years since I'd actually, spoken to anybody. So once you get that nailed and you can say that, and certainly at the Johnny Bloomfield Netwalking that he does at Stormont, there's an opportunity to introduce yourself to the group as well. It's really casual, it's really laid back and relaxed. So that's really good as well. And you don't have to if you don't want to, that's okay as well. But yeah, one step at a time.
Yeah, lovely, thank you. Margarita has just promoted, for those who want to get help for their business, the first page of Google, there's a lunch and learn coming up. So she has shared that in the chat. And again, we'll share that with you later. We've been talking about the importance of connecting and reaching out with each other. If you haven't put your LinkedIn details or some social media handles in the chat, do so now. We've just got a couple of minutes left before we're wrapping up. Any final questions or observations? We will share the slides after, and you've got the QR code which takes you to that visibility plan. So that's a really nice practical tool, Sarah. Thank you for creating that for us.
Very practical. I did ask a question at the end of my presentation. What opportunities are out there right now that you could share with the group that other people could benefit off? If you
Yeah,
could
that's a
chat.
nice way to end. So yeah, think what could people benefit from if you put it in the chat. So that might be examples like Sarah was sharing about those networks. It might be about some training sessions like Roisin and Margarita have shared. It might be another event. So just use this last minute to promote the places that can help each other raise their profile. And I will use the opportunity to just promote Women in Business. Padraig, could you put the final slide?
Lorraine, Sarah.
Oh yes, Sarah, go on.
Go on ahead, Sarah.
Oh, me, Sarah.
Yes,
Oh,
you,
yes,
Sarah.
Sarah Gilbert. Sorry, I didn't see your hand there. Thanks, Sarah.
All right. No, I was just thinking, I have worked a fair bit in media, and we've been talking about the BBC and places like that. But from my experience, I think the best places for a small business to approach are local radio stations, little small local radio stations, because they're constantly seeking stories. If you contact your local radio station and ask to speak, get the email address for the different shows, the different DJs that are on during the day for maybe a talk show, they're nearly always happy to give you 10 minutes of airtime to talk about your business.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. Padraig, could you put on the last slide? This is just to promote some opportunities we've got coming up in the next few weeks. So opportunities to connect face to face. We're really hearing from our members that face to face is what they want. So we're in Derry on Monday for our Just Connect Monday morning. We've got another one of these webinars next month on making the most of ChatGPT. We have a paint and sip face to face in Belfast for Young Women's Network members, and then we have another face-to-face connection in Middlesbrough in October. So loads of opportunities to get together to continue connecting and boost your profile in the meantime. So if there's nothing further in terms of questions, Padraig, could you just close that slide so I can just double check the chat? We will share the chat afterwards, so you'll have each other's contact details, and we will be sharing Sarah's slides. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us today, and particularly thank you to Sarah.
Thank you for having me. Look, just get in touch if you have any questions whatsoever. I will happily answer them, or direct you to somebody else who can.
Lovely. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.